Hello, my name is Jonathan Spalton. I'm here from International House London, and today I'll be helping you with some food and drink vocabulary. Let's get started. Let's have a think about what kind of food and drink you prefer. Okay, so we've got some questions here. Which do you prefer and why? Going out for a gourmet meal, that's a restaurant. So that would be very sort of expensive, lush, fancy restaurants. Maybe you can see this picture at the top left here. So often there would be 3 courses, starter, main, dessert, maybe more, 5 courses, 6 courses, depending on how fancy the restaurant was. Do you prefer grabbing some street food from a market vendor? So this guy, bottom left picture, is a market vendor. Lots of different types of street food, often selling outside. Do you prefer takeaway on the couch? Like you can see these two enjoying their pizza. Do you prefer a home-cooked meal? So that's something that you prepare at home, some family meal, maybe cooking yourself, okay? And do you like to cook yourself from scratch, which means you buy the ingredients and make them yourself? So you start from 0 and then prepare everything. You're not buying anything that's already prepared, okay? So pause the video and think about how you'd answer these questions, okay? If you're with a partner, you could have a conversation with them. Otherwise, just you could do this as a speaking exercise, or you could write your answers down, okay? So pause the video now and see how you get on. Okay, let's move on now and have a look at some collocations. Collocations are just words together. In this case, we've got some verbs, and we're seeing how the verbs fit with nouns in this case, okay? Often collocations are different in different languages, okay? So in this activity, we need to put one of these verbs in the right tense. So we might need to change it present, add an S, make it past, etc. There may be more than one answer. Okay, so again, pause the video, give yourself a few minutes, decide what your correct answers are. When you're ready, play and we'll check together. Okay, let's check the answers. Okay, so in fact, the first 3 all use the same verb, have. Have a cup of tea, have dinner, have wine. In English, the most common verb that we use with all food and drink is have, okay? We don't use take, like you might see in a language like Italian, yeah? And we very rarely actually use eat and drink. It's much more common to use have, yeah? So have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, have a beer, have wine, have milk, have dinner, have breakfast, have lunch, have a snack, always have, okay? In number 4, when we're talking about sort of exclusions, I do eat this, I don't eat this, that's when we're more likely to use the verb eat. You could use have there as well, okay? And then we've got this expression to go veggie. Veggie is the short for vegetarian, okay? So if you go veggie, you become a vegetarian, okay? In number 5, again, it's about the sort of exclusion here. So I can't drink coffee on an empty stomach. It makes me feel a bit sick. Yeah. So this is true for me. I love the smell of coffee, but usually I drink tea. I'm very British in that way. But I do like a coffee on the weekend, but only after breakfast. If I drink coffee before breakfast, I feel uncomfortable. Okay.
Se desideri essere costantemente aggiornato sulle nostre pillole di inglese, iscriviti oggi stesso per rimanere sempre al passo.
And then the last one, have you ever tried a full English breakfast? If you want to talk to someone, if they have tried a particular food, maybe when they're on holiday or traveling, if they've been to different international restaurants, you can use try. Something when you eat something for the first time. Okay, if you're not sure what a full English breakfast is, I would encourage you to Google it and see if it's something that you would like. Okay, so maybe now, can you make these sentences true for you? Yeah, so Oh, I've noticed a mistake straight away. Okay, so number 2, because we've changed it to he, it should be he usually has dinner, yeah, or he usually eats dinner at about 7 or 8. Okay, but can you change these sentences and make them true for you? So for me, I always have a cup of tea when I first wake up, but maybe that's not true for you. Maybe you always have a coffee. Maybe you always have a glass of water. Maybe you have something else. Okay, so pause the video and rewrite these sentences so that they're true for you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's move on. Okay, and let's have a look at some more collocations, but this time let's look at some adjectives. So we've got these nouns meal, food, and cuisine. Okay, there's lots of similarities here, but the combinations of adjectives that we use is different with these 3 nouns. Okay, so again, pause the video and write down what you think is the best match. There might be more than one answer for some of these adjectives. Okay. Okay, let's check the answers. Okay. So, okay, if we look at meal, okay, so this is meal is when you sit down and eat at a specific time of day. So the examples, most people eat 3 meals a day. They'll eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some people only eat 2 meals a day. You know, some people might eat 4 if they're particularly hungry. Okay, so we've got here you can see a big meal, a substantial meal, a heavy meal. It's the same meaning. We're talking about a large meal, and the opposite of that would be a light meal, would be a small meal. Okay, we've got a ready meal. So these are very popular in busy cities, especially in London. You see a lot of these in the supermarkets. You can see an example of this in the picture on the left. Okay, so ready meal is already prepared. You just put it in the microwave or in the oven, and you don't need any other preparation at all. Okay, so that's a ready meal. And you compare that with a home-cooked meal where you're preparing the ingredients yourself. You can also have, of course, a vegetarian meal. If we look at the food adjectives, okay, well, fast food and junk food is the same. Okay, so we're talking about McDonald's, Burger King, KFC. So usually not very healthy and usually prepared very quickly. Okay, you might compare that with something like fresh food. Okay, so fresh food tends to be using fresh ingredients, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. Okay. Organic food is food that has been grown without any genetic changes, so not genetically modified in any way. Okay.
Se desideri essere costantemente aggiornato sulle nostre pillole di inglese, iscriviti oggi stesso per rimanere sempre al passo.
Processed food, if we look at the picture on the bottom right, okay, you can see on the bottom we've got these sort of fresh, possibly organic, maybe not, fruit and vegetables. And then on the top, we've got these processed foods. Processed foods, or heavily processed foods, are foods that are go through lots of different processes. So they're usually produced in a factory. Yeah, so things like French fries. Often if you buy frozen French fries, you know, they're not necessarily made from fresh ingredients. They might be reconstituted. Likewise, a lot of very sugary things or things that have got a lot of extra ingredients to make them last a long time in the supermarket. So a lot of, sometimes bread has a lot of preservatives in. You can also get, you know, things like crisps, snacks, sugary things, and also things like, you know, burgers. A lot of fast food and junk food is processed as well. We've got another word, heavy. Of course, we've seen that already. It just means large. Okay, heavy food is the sort of food that sort of makes you feel quite full. So it's not a salad. It's, you know, after you eat steak, you're like, oh, it's quite heavy food. It sits, you know, it fills you up. You can also have, of course, Italian food, French food, British food, Indian food, etc. Street food we saw in the first activity. Vegetarian food, and then local food. So local food would often be from your particular region. You might have different local food in the north of your country, in the south of your country, on the coast, in the mountains, etc. Okay, and then we have in the final column cuisine, which has the smallest number of adjectives. We can use it, of course, for sort of dishes of a particular country: Italian cuisine, French cuisine, Spanish cuisine, Moroccan cuisine. Yeah. You can have international cuisine, and then you can have specifically sort of vegetarian cuisine, and again, local cuisine, because it's specific to the local region. Okay. So in this final activity, we're going to look at some phrasal verbs. The first thing I want you to do is look at them, and can you guess the meaning from context? So one of the problems with phrasal verbs is that there's often more than one meaning. For example, if we look at number 1, do you fancy checking out that new cafe on the square? You might be familiar with check out of a hotel. So you check in and check out when you arrive and leave from a hotel. But this has a different meaning, okay? So especially if you think about the information in the sentence, the new cafe, can you guess what check out means? Okay, so have a look at these 8 sentences. Okay, pause the video and just make a note down. Can you guess the meaning from the context before we continue? Okay, try that now. Okay, so you might have some ideas for some of them. You might be familiar with some of these already. Yeah, you might recognize some of the words from other videos. Okay, but it's also useful to sort of check. And I recommend using an English Learner Dictionary to check. And one reason is because they have often more than one meaning. If you use a translator, you might get the wrong one and be quite confused. The reason I recommend an English Learner Dictionary is because it encourages your brain to work harder. And if you're working harder, you're more likely to remember the new language that you've processed. If you just read the definition in your own language, it's too quick. You're not doing enough brain work, and so you're not going to remember the new words. They'll just go in one ear and gone out the other. Okay.
Se desideri essere costantemente aggiornato sulle nostre pillole di inglese, iscriviti oggi stesso per rimanere sempre al passo.
So I would recommend, these are 3 English Learner Dictionaries online that I recommend. They're all free. You've got the Cambridge Dictionary, the Macmillan Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary. Now, you might find that 1 or 2 of these you can't find, okay? And I will sort of go through them at the end. But just spend a few minutes, okay, and check in these dictionaries. Check the phrasal verbs that you're not sure about, or that you want to double check. Do that now. Okay, let's have a look at some answers and see if you've chose the correct meaning. Okay, so in the first one, do you fancy checking out? The meaning here is to try something to see if it's good. So we often use it when we're trying new things. Yeah. Do you want to check out that new movie? Do you want to check out that new cafe, that new restaurant? There's a recipe that I want to check out. There's, often for, cafes, bars, live music, bands, things like that. Okay. Number 2, I'm trying to cut down on biscuits and cakes. I only have them at the weekends. This is about reducing the amount. Okay, so cut down means to reduce, not to stop completely. If you compare that to number 3, cut out, that does mean to stop completely. So in this case, cut out junk food, stop eating any junk food. Okay. Number 4, what are you going to go for? The meaning here is, what are you going to select? What are you going to choose? And it's very, very commonly used when you're ordering food. I think I'll go for the chicken. I'm going to go for the burger. Okay, so you can use that very commonly. In number 5, we've got, I can't be bothered to head out tonight. To head out is the same as to go out. Yeah, and we often use head meaning to go somewhere. Okay, I'm heading to the shops, I'm heading home, I'm heading to the office, I'm heading to school. It's very, very common, natural spoken English. Okay, stay in, you might be familiar with stay at home. Okay, so don't go out. Number 6, I'm quite keen to try out that recipe, to try something for the first time, to test something. And then number 7, we've got, or 7 and 8, we've got give it a go, give it a miss. Give it a go is you're prepared to try it, you want to try it. Give it a miss, I don't want to try it. I think I will not do that this time. Yeah. So if, for example, if you have an allergy, you shouldn't try it. Sometimes there's food that you just don't like. Yeah. If you're looking at a menu and there's maybe you really don't like broccoli. Okay, and so one of the meals looks good, but it's got broccoli, and you think, I'll give it a miss. I'll try the one with aubergine instead. Okay. Okay. So guys, I hope you enjoyed learning some of these words and phrases. Okay. The best thing that you can do is to make your own personal example sentences. So I would spend a few minutes sort of writing down, making some examples, maybe go back to the video, pause it on the expressions that you want to be able to use and make your own examples. And then see how many you can remember tomorrow and see how many you can remember 1 week later. It's a really good way to keep your brain working and to keep and help you remember and store the new language. Okay. All right. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed the lesson and best of luck continuing to learn your English.